Okay, quick disclaimer before we get started. The Blocmates podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. The information and opinions expressed on the podcast are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Blocmates or its affiliates. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research and consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Blocmates and its affiliates are not liable for any losses or damages incurred as a result of the reliance on the information or opinions expressed on this podcast.
Good morning, Degen. Just me and Grant this morning. Mike has departed off to Asia from our side of the world to Grant's side of the world, soon to be me. Morning, Grant.
Morning. Yeah, the text off Mike saying he's not enjoying the flight, so I'm expecting a funny story at the other end.
Yeah, I don't know.
He does like a whinge, though.
He does like a whinge. He did have a nightmare getting to the airport, but it is Grant's stag do this week. So if you're wondering what we're talking about, we have said that we have mentioned it once or twice, but we've got today. We'll get you one on Thursday, and then I don't know if you'll ever get one again. To be fair, so
God, yeah, we should do one like the Thursday after we get back, and just like let people like see how much of a zombie will be.
And there'll be absolutely no value in it whatsoever. Not that there has been over the summer months, to be fair. We've all been in desperate need of some time away, but you might even see us side by side in the studio, but we'll keep that one under wraps for now. I don't know what it'll look like. But yeah, anyway, hope everyone's good. So straight into the prices and flows. So we've got Bitcoin at 29,141. That's down 2.1%. ETH is also down 1% at 1,851, and total market cap is down 1.22 trillion from the last episode when it was at 1.26. Binance inflows, so overall up on the monthly 2.86 bill, but down weekly at 247 mil and down on the daily at 3.7 mil. And there's also fear in the streets, as the fear and greed index is also down to 50. But straight into the biggest winners, nothing is majorly standing out. Although one thing that is standing out is Nolo. And on the last episode, we were crying, basically saying that if you can bet on anything, it's that we will miss this meta. But we might not. We might not be, mate. Things look okay.
Yeah, they do. As I say, last one we were talking about Unibot, and that was just continuing to rip. And we were kind of thinking, usually a market leader in its own category, the first one to kind of start moving and start the trend effectively. It can kind of go either of two ways. If it's a kind of flash in the pan, the leader of the whole charge can effectively bring the rest of like the beta players around it down with it. But I don't think these trading bots are going away, and I think they're only going to get iterated on. I think it's going to be like a new product in and of itself. So I think what we've seen is there's a few others came onto the market, like Genie, and I don't know if it's called Wagey or Waggy. I couldn't really figure it out. And then obviously Nolo, which was on Solana. The product actually settles on Solana just for ease of transaction and like extremely low fees and stuff, which is great. But they launched their token over on Ethereum, and it's been doing well. Like full disclaimer, like we have a position, so we might actually get a winner for a change between us three. But I don't know. You never know what's going to happen.
That's corny.
And yeah, they've got the big one, which I don't think people are aware of. They will be launching perps, I think Friday, Saturday, depending on where you are in the world. And if you looked at the DeFi Llama revenue for perps protocols over the past year, they've kind of been like the dial into the bear market, like GMX was just defying all odds. So that'll be good. And I think they've got Nolo staking for like a bit of revenue share there as well. So looks good, but it is us we're talking about. So
more so me. Yeah, but so losers, we sort of just had a note that Unibot has had its first big pullback, down 25% on the day. Is there much more you want to say about that, or I guess there's not much to go into, is there, really, losers?
There's not really much to pick apart. I mean, it was definitely due a pullback. It was just a complete up and to the right, but like that, it's a very, very strong team. Really like the idea that they've just kind of launched and then figured it out, and they seem to be shipping very, very, very quickly, and they're very responsive and very, very on it. So yeah, it's good. I like to see it.
Yeah. And as for news, because as I said, we don't really have much on the winners and losers, but I just want to kind of wind you up and let you go on this one, is Worldcoin. So we did post an article on this. I can't remember now. Maybe like last month, probably 6 weeks ago now. Yeah, maybe a little bit longer. Sort of covering it all, which we will link below. But yeah, there is some news that's come out of the past few days, and I'm just going to let you talk people through that, mate. I think that makes more sense.
Yeah. So as Alex was saying, we've been following it for a while. It's been cooking for an extremely long time. So just as a bit of a kind of brief overview, if you've seen it, you don't necessarily know what it is. So the guy who is one of the co-founders is Sam Altman, who's also one of the, I don't want to say co-founders, but he probably will be put on that pedestal as from OpenAI, so ChatGPT and similar products that are that those guys are churning out. Initially, that was supposed to be an open source project that was funded initially by Elon Musk, hence the name OpenAI, just to kind of preempt and try and reduce any malicious activity that could come off the back of it with such a kind of powerful product. And then I think Elon left, Sam Altman kind of continued the charge, which was supposed to be a non-profit open source product, and have since took like $20 billion investment from Microsoft. So I don't think that was as landed up as intended. But the whole premise is Sam Altman's obviously got, well, he's a world leader in the field of AI, and his whole idea is that the displacement of the job market is going to be like catastrophic because of like how much of an improvement, how reduced the cost would for a bot or AI to actually replace an awful lot of jobs on the planet. And there's been talks of it for a very long time. Like Andrew Wang and people like that have just like they've all been kind of forecasting that we will just get to a time where there just won't be enough jobs for the amount of people that are on the planet. So Worldcoin is kind of it's proclaimed to be kind of some form of antidote to that. Yeah. So as like the proclaimed remedy to solve probably one of the biggest problems on Earth, Worldcoin has been released as a way to, like, if you look at what happens now with like Sybil attacks for airdrops and things like that, how do you negate that and actually verify there is an actual single human on the other end that's actually calling these transactions, or actually in the workforce or not in the workforce? If this is like the way that they're positioning it. So they've kind of launched this proof of humanity thing, which users have to like scan their iris, and it's this big weird orb thing that costs an absolute fortune to build. And I've seen people saying that they're going to do some horrific things to this orb if they get their hands on it. Should get one on the stag too, and we'll see what we can do.
There'll be no pupils left to scan.
So the way that they like verify on the other end is like this iris scanning thing. But in the article, I think Gaz brought up the fact that they've had 2 million signups, but they're from parts of the world that have been, like, I'm going to put it as politely as possible, they're being coaxed into doing things that they don't like fully understand. And like some of the incentives for actually signing up were really, really weird. Like there was reports that people were being incentivized to kind of effectively sign up, give their biometric data away for like AirPods and like weird items like that. As I say, it's like we did the full depth of research around it. It's quite weird and sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. But yeah, and it's obviously caused quite a lot of controversy. And so they'll have this WLD token, this world token that they've been very, very opaque about the tokenomics and the distribution and stuff like that. And it looks like around the distribution will be around 75% for the community, whatever that means, and 25% for VCs and investors. Why 25% of the supply needs to go to VCs and investors if it's supposed to be a vehicle for solving universal basic income is completely beyond me. At the time of speaking, there's like 1.7% circulating. So the remaining 98.3% is going to be vesting over like a ridiculous period of time. And if anyone was around during the kind of Alameda and SBF projects that got funded, it's the tokenomic design is set up in such a way that resembles that. So really, really low circulating supply, really, really, really high fully diluted valuation. And if anyone can think back, this was one of the issues that led them to marking their books up when they didn't actually have like the cash on hand that they said they did on the book. So they were saying like, look, we own 10% of this supply. It's at 30 billion valuation. So we've got 3 billion on our books. But in actual fact, once it all fully vests, everyone knows it gets completely diluted. So that's when they run into some issues there. And yeah, there is 115 million. It's sat at 20 billion FDV, which is like number 7 if you rank it by fully diluted market cap, just behind USDC. After like one day, kind of reminds me of ICP if anyone remembers that one. But the only winners here at this present point in time aren't the people who've kind of sold their biometric data, which is effectively immutable now. It's going to be the market makers and it's going to be the exchanges. So me and Alex were talking prior to this, and he was just asking like how market making deals work.
It's going to throw you that, yeah.
And if anyone wants to have a look, we've actually got another article. Look today. That the Arrakis team did for us. So they guest post on the website like how market making deals work in crypto. So what we just like use some round numbers, for example, what market makers will do to a project that they know is going to have a lot of traction and it's going to be listed on tier 1 exchanges and stuff like that. They'll say, let's use round numbers, like give us 1% of the supply. We'll agree on a strike price and we'll agree on an expiration. So Worldcoin's at $2 now. Let's say me and Alex are market makers. We've agreed to deal with the Worldcoin project, saying we'll have 1% of the supply at a $2 strike price, and the expiration's in 365 days from now, so a year's time. So we're incentivized to keep the price of Worldcoin above $2 as much as possible. The higher the price is away from that strike price, when that expiration date hits, we can choose to effectively purchase that 1% of the supply as high as possible. The project happy because tokens, when it eventually comes back around and they're probably selling token equity on the market, they're all happy. And if it's below $2, like the strike price, then we don't have the obligation to actually exercise that. So we can just give the tokens back. But what happens there is if it is above $2, let's say it's at $4, we can effectively purchase 1% of the supply at $2 per token. And then what we're going to do with that, we're obviously going to realize a lot of it. So after that expiration, it's just kind of getting sold in the market. And all the while as well, you've got to remember, they're taking fees for every trade they're getting, all the spread. Like it's on Ethereum, it's on Optimism. There's going to be a lot of arbitrage opportunities between the dexes there. So it's the people who are buying it now are not the winners. So I'm just going to put that out there, particularly when there's 98% of the supply less to go on the market. So, but yeah, that's my rant over.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if there's much else to cover there, really. That was a very, very solid, not even an overview, in-depth injection of everything Worldcoin. I think we can even end it there.